For July 2024, Athearn is excited to introduce an all-new addition to the Athearn Genesis line of HO-scale diesel locomotives, the EMD SD50. For our first run, we're including the following roads, many requested by you, our customers. (1984) era Baltimore, Ohio chassis system. Baltimore, Ohio ordered 20 SD50s between July and August of 1984, while 43 went to C&O in 2 orders. Baltimore, Ohio, numbered 8576 through 8595, would be among some of the last units to wear the chassis system's enchantment blue, vermilion, and yellow. Many of the SD50s would soldier on into the CSX era and wear various patches before eventually receiving full repaints. For this run, we'll offer as-delivered versions of 8578, 8581, and 8595. These models will feature Nathan K5 horns, 4,000-gallon fuel tanks, long hood-mounted bells, EMD HTC trucks with animated Timken bearings, chassis-style mail slot battery box doors, early frame with diagonal pilot cutouts, and rounded anti-climbers. 1984-era Denver and Rio Grand. The Denver and Rio Grand Western purchased 17 SD50s from EMD in the late summer of 1984. Built with chassis system specs, these units were delivered with K5LA horns, mail slot battery boxes, and hood-mounted bells. However, the gyrolights that Denver and Rio Grande Western was so well known for were absent. Gyrolights, however, were soon added to SD50 units number 5501 through 5517 once officially on the property. Our models will include the familiar operating nose gyrolight in the DC versions only, and will also the addition of rail frogs. For this run, we'll offer as-delivered versions of 5501, 5510, and 5515. These models will feature Nathan K5 horns, 4,000-gallon fuel tanks, long hood-mounted bell, nose gyrolight and DCC function, EMD HTC trucks with animated Timken bearings, chassis-style mail slot battery box doors with added screens, and early frame with diagonal pilot cutouts and rounded anti-climbers. (1991-era CSX). When CSX was formed, the SD50s were only a few years old and still wearing their as-delivered chassis systems paint. Eventually, as maintenance was performed, many of these patched units would receive a full YN2 paint scheme, either from EMD or CSX's own Huntington shop. We are offering both versions for CX modelers who model the early 1990s, with subtle differences between them. These SD50s are from the C&O order 8553 through 8575 class and feature removed class lights, K5 horn, and expert-approved artwork and colors. 4 road numbers have been selected for this run, including 8556, a Huntington repaint with black anti-climbers, lower CSX body placement, removed class lights on both ends, and original style number board font. 8563 will be an EMD repaint with blue anti-climbers, upper CSX body placement, class light plates on both ends, and CSX replacement style number board font. CSX units number 8564 and 8567 will also feature an EMD repaint with blue anti-climbers, upper CSX body placement, class light plates on both ends, and CSX replacement style numberboard font. (1985) era Chicago and Northwestern. Chicago and Northwestern purchased 35 SD50s between November and December of 1985 and numbered them 7000 to 7034. Most of these units wore their as-delivered scheme into the 1995 Union Pacific purchase. We are offering this first run as they appeared when Chicago Northwestern first received them. They will feature a cab strobe light, unique triangular antenna, early step wells, and handrails without step guard. For this run, we'll offer road numbers 7004, 7015, and 7022 in their as-delivered appearance. These models will feature Leslie 3-chime horns, EMD HTC trucks with Hyatt bearings, Chicago Northwestern triangular antennas, 4,500-gallon fuel tanks, frame-mounted bell, xenon strobe effect of DCC, late EMD battery box doors with dual louvers, and late frame with vertical pilot cutouts and blunt anti-climbers. (1984) era Missouri Pacific. When the Missouri Pacific took delivery of its 60 SD50s in November and December of 1984, numbered 5000 to 5059, the as-delivered units wore the corporate colors of Armor Yellow and Harbor Mist Gray. Missouri Pacific was now part of the Union Pacific family in one of the largest mergers in history at that point. These canaries, as they were known to be called by many rail fans, looked to share the same color scheme as the Union Pacific. However, there were some distinguishing paint differences between Missouri Pacific and Union Pacific locomotives. All Missouri Pacific locomotives featured the Missouri Pacific spelled out on the long hood in Missouri Pacific's own North Little Rock font. Likewise, the trucks were painted gray rather than silver, and the anti-glare panel on the top of the short hood was painted gray rather than UP's then standard green. After 1986, operations between the Missouri Pacific and Union Pacific consolidated, and complete control was acquired by the Union Pacific in 1997, and the units were eventually repainted with full Union Pacific lettering. Two road numbers of the 1984 era Missouri Pacific are being offered, including 5014 and 5049. These models will feature an as-delivered appearance, frame-mounted bell, xenon strobe lights which work in DCC, 4,500-gallon fuel tanks, newly tooled Leslie 3-chime horn, truck-mounted spare knuckles, EMD HTC trucks with animated Timken bearings, late EMD battery box doors with dual louvers, and late frame with vertical pilot cutouts and blunt anti-climbers. And finally, 1981 era Kansas City Southern. After experimenting with 4 testbed EMD SD40Xs built in 1979, Kansas City Southern ordered the first production run of the SD50 produced from late May into June of 1981. They featured an early notched frame, a rounded blower housing, large exhaust stack, dual cab mounted strobes, and a front warning light with offset headlights. Kansas City Southern numbered their fleet of SD50s number 704 through 713 and were painted in the then standard white scheme with large red lettering. While 705 was wrecked and off the roster by February of 1994, the others soldiered on, many receiving the gray ghost scheme before being sold off or retired. 3 road numbers will be offered in this run, including 704, 707, and 713. These models will feature an as-delivered appearance, frame-mounted bell, Leslie 5-chime horn, 4,500-gallon fuel tank, newly tooled offset cab headlight with warning light, which works in DCC, EMD HTC trucks with Hyatt bearings, early EMD battery box, doors with single louvers, dual xenon strobe effects, which also work in DCC, early walkway with notch frame and rounded blower housings, and large exhaust stack. DCC-ready models feature quick plug-and-play technology with 21-pin NEM connector. DCC and sound-equipped models will feature an onboard DCC decoder with Tsunami 2 sound with dual cube speakers. For a complete list of features, please select the link in the video description below. Contact your dealer for pricing. Pre-order these all-new Athearn Genesis SD50 models through your Athearn dealer by Friday, July 26.